Hey everyone, welcome back to That One Game Story. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the complete story of Firewatch from Campo Santo. This video aims to recap the main storyline and highlight key plot points as we dive into this narrative driven adventure, which unravels a gripping mystery while exploring the themes of isolation, trust, and personal struggle. So sit back, relax, and enjoy That One Game Story, Firewatch. Our story begins in 1975 in Boulder, Colorado. We meet Henry, who was out drinking with some friends at a local downtown bar. With laughter and music swirling in the air, he spotted Julia, a confident, captivating woman laughing among professors and graduate students. Fueled by a sense of drunken confidence, Henry approached her, slurring his words slightly, but speaking sincerely. "What is your major?" Julia, both amused and intrigued, revealed that she was a professor of evolutionary biology at the local campus nearby. Quick on her feet, she proceeded with a quick response. "And you?" "Let me guess. Toxology?" Despite her playful jab, Henry laughed, breaking the ice between them. Fearing she might have offended him, Julia suggests sharing a cheeseburger, and he happily agreed. 1 week later, they were a happy couple. A year has passed. Henry and Julia have moved in together, and their relationship has only grown stronger. Their home has become a haven of shared moments, messy breakfasts, late night talks with beers out on the deck. Life is good. Life is really good. One day, Julia suggests getting a dog, and they adopt a scrappy little beagle they name Bucket, choosing him over a gentle-eyed German shepherd. Bucket quickly became the heart of their home, added mischief and joy to their days. Over the next 5 years, Henry and Julia got married, settled into a busy yet happy rhythm. Conversations about starting a family often arose but were deferred because of their demanding work lives. Life seemed pretty stable for Henry until one day, Julia received an incredible job offer from Yale University. Although Henry knew this was a huge opportunity for Julia, he was reluctant to leave their lives in Boulder. Henry asked if she was willing to compromise, and she agreed to commute, flying to Connecticut and returning to Boulder 3 times each semester. Over the course of a year, Julia's life took a troubling turn as her behavior became increasingly erratic. Following an incident at work where she mistakenly accused a colleague of not returning books she had forgotten loaning out. Because of this incident, Julia was placed on paid leave. The emotional strain became evident when Henry found her crying on the stairwell, prompting him to suggest they seek professional help. They consulted several doctors, underwent numerous tests, and finally received the diagnosis: early onset dementia at the age of 41. Determined to keep this diagnosis private, the couple bore the immense weight of the situation alone. As Julia's condition deteriorated, her work and daily routines unraveled. She struggled to maintain focus in class, her once prominent research fell apart, and her memory lapse became alarming. In one distressing episode, she aimlessly drove to a nearby town, only to be escorted home by the police with no memory of the trip. Eventually, her declining health forced her to accept permanent medical leave. Henry sought the support of Julia's family after her condition worsened. Her parents and sister Susan traveled from Australia to visit often, offering comfort and assistance. Over time, a nurse suggested Julia might need to stay at a full-time care facility. After months of painful deliberation, Henry made the difficult decision to move her into a full-time care facility, a step he never imagined he would have to take. Henry visited Julia consistently, every other day, even as her memory of him started to fade. Meanwhile, Susan relocated to Boulder to be near her sister and help Henry in any way she could. Observing how overwhelmed and isolated Henry was, Susan gifted him an old typewriter and encouraged him to write down his thoughts as an outlet for his emotions. Time began to pass in a blur of routines and marked by loss and change. Their beloved dog Bucket passed away, and Julia no longer remembered him, or heartbreakingly, even Henry on some days. Feeling the weight of his grief, Henry noticed a job posted in the paper as summer approached. He decided to take it. We find Henry on day 1 as a fire lookout, hiking through the dense forest. The weight of his backpack is a constant reminder of the 2-day trek he endured to reach his lookout tower. The summer air is buzzing with the sounds of insects and rustling leaves. As he steps into the clearing and the lookout comes into view, a mix of relief and exhaustion washes over him as he makes his way up. Once inside, he found the lookout to be a narrow space that was mostly furnished with a cot, a table, a chair, and a walkie-talkie radio. Henry flips the switch on the generator, bathing the room in the faint glow of electric light. As the tower hums to life, the radio crackled with the static before a voice broke through.
Hello, Two Forks Tower.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So, what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
That's a great idea. Go ahead.
Look, I just hiked for 2 days, so I don't really follow whatever it is you're doing right now.
You take a stab at what's wrong with me.
Fine, then can I sleep forever?
Sure, buddy. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay, you're probably out here because nobody back home can stand you, which, after this brief introduction, is not a big shock.
Ouch. I'll chalk that up to you being tired and grumpy.
Well, I'd better get some sleep then.
One sec. Now it's my turn.
Okay, good night, bye.
Let's see. I don't know anything about you, but 9 times out of 10, folks out here simply got dumped.
Huh, is that it?
Close?
Good night.
Good night. Welcome to the job.
The following day, Henry's sitting at his typewriter, idly tapping the keys. Feeling groggy from his demanding 2-day hike, Delilah's familiar voice crackled over the radio, teasing him about how he slept in, but reassuring him that he could still make most of the day now that he was awake. Henry admitted to sleeping in, and Delilah tells him not to sweat it, saying that the hike is a killer and usually takes everyone out for at least a day or two. But now that he is up and ready, she wanted to get him familiar with the details of being a fire lookout. As Delilah begins to teach Henry the basics, she explains the equipment, including the fire finder. Her tone suddenly changed when she notices something unusual in the distance. Fireworks. Alarmed, she urges Henry to act swiftly, emphasizing the urgency of the situation since the nearest ranger was 2 days away. She instructs him to go down immediately and put a stop to what's happening. She advises him to grab a rope from a local supply box along the way. This rope will help him navigate a shale slide near the lake. She provides him with a simple code for the supply box. Henry sets off. Before long, he spotted the supply box perched on a wooden post, worn and withered by the elements. Upon opening the box, Henry discovers the rope that Delilah had mentioned, an old map, a granola bar, a note addressed from someone named Dave to Ron, and a single pine cone. With the rope secured, he continues towards the shale slide. Upon reaching the location, he informs Delilah that the shale slide seems steeper than expected. She responded, noting that she didn't remember it being so hazardous, and that it wasn't marked on their map. Henry jokingly suggests maybe they should rename it the Cripple Gulch. Henry proceeded to make his descent. The loose and slippery shale made every step feel risky. However, about halfway down, disaster struck when the rope suddenly snapped. Henry was sent tumbling as the world tilted, and he crashed to the ground, sliding painfully to a stop. He quickly reports the fall to Delilah, who reminds him to be cautious. Henry sets off towards the location of the fireworks, soon discovering an abandoned campsite. He finds a bundle of fireworks, confirming that this was the campsite of the individual responsible. Among other things, he comes across backpacks, beers, and a bottle of whiskey, which he takes the whiskey for himself. As he continues searching, he notices clothing laid out to dry. Delilah suspects the campers were nearby and urges Henry to confront them. Henry moves towards the lake and begins to notice more pieces of clothing scattered along the path. Realizing that it is in fact 2 women who could be possibly skinny dipping, Delilah presses him to continue his task. Upon reaching the lake, he spotted 2 teenage girls swimming and warns him about the dangers of using fireworks. One of the girls insults him by calling him a loser. In response, Henry explained that he has taken all of their fireworks and alcohol, and reminded them that setting off fireworks is illegal. They dismiss his authority, claiming he would pay for this, as they continue to taunt him on their way out the lake. Now that the teens are gone, Henry reports back to Delilah, and mentions that he will return to his lookout before dark. During his walk back, Delilah confessed that she had been drinking when she initially welcomed him last night, which explains her pushy behavior. Henry reassures her, and Delilah promised to be more mindful of her demeanor in the future. As Henry makes his way back to the lookout, he stumbles upon an old, mysterious cabin. Intrigued by its presence, he decides to venture inside, only to be startled by a raccoon. Delilah informs him that the cabin is called Hawk's Rest and shares the haunted history of the location.
Holy crap, I think I might have just gotten rabies.
Go on.
I'm sniffing around an old lookout and I got attacked by a raccoon.
Did he bite you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're probably fine. Wait, is the lookout you're in burned to a crisp and filled with raccoons?
Apparently.
Ooh, Hawk's Rest.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're doing.
What do you mean? I just like to stay out of haunted places myself.
Okay, go on. Out with it.
You want to hear about Raccoon Carter? So, some years ago, way before my time, a man named Winthrop Carter was stationed at Hawk's Rest. He was an angry loner. The story was he lost his life savings betting on horse fights.
Horse fights?
In Mexico. So he did what a lot of us do in times of trouble. He signed up with the Forest Service to watch for fires. His first night in his lookout, there was a break-in, and the break-ins didn't stop. Finally, one night he awoke to find someone in his lookout. He reached for his hand axe and threw it at the figure, and just before the axe killed its target, he heard a small voice cry, "Help!"
What was it?
A raccoon.
Oh, of course.
See, back in these days, the Forest Service wasn't so good about dropping off food and supplies, and, well, Carter was hungry. So he did what anyone would do. He skinned and ate it. Eventually, Carter didn't want to eat anything else. It was raccoons or nothing. But one night, as he sharpened his raccoon blade, there was a scratching at the door. He looked towards it, and again, heard a tiny voice. "Help! Help!" He approached slowly, knife in hand, and ripped the door open. But no one was there. But then, from under the bed, he heard another small voice. "Help! Help!" Carter looked under the bed, and, of course, nothing was there either. So, startled but believing he was just tired, Raccoon Carter went out hunting, and for the first night in months, came up empty. Now, in bed, his stomach rumbling, he hears the voice again. "Help! Help!" And now, he wonders if it's coming from inside of him. But then, a figure appears at the edge of the bed. Again, he reaches for his axe, but in its place is another figure. He looks for the door, and there are more and more figures. Beady, glowing eyes peering out through dark masks. He leaps out of bed, horrified, slips and hits his head. And before he can get up, he feels hundreds of little fingers and razor-sharp teeth digging into his skin. Far away in Bighorn Tower, the lookout reported hearing a voice echoing through the valley. Loud at first, and then smaller and smaller, until they faded away forever. "Help! Help! Help!" And that's the story of Raccoon Carter. His ghost still wanders through the valley, moaning, "Help! Help!" on hot summer nights.
So, if Raccoon Carter died, how do we know this story?
They found his body ripped to shreds by raccoons. And Hawk's Rest was filled to the brim with raccoon pelts. It's probably what caused the fire.
That doesn't make any sense.
Does anything, Henry?
As he makes his way back to his tower, Henry hears the distant rumble of thunder. Delilah warns him about the approaching storm and urges him to move quickly. While hiking, he stumbles upon a cave, which Delilah recognizes as Thunder Canyon. She mentions that the cave has a reputation for being unsafe and leaves it up to Henry whether or not he chooses to explore it. Inside the cave, the air is cooler, and the echoes of Henry's footsteps resonate around him. A faint draft suggests there might be another exit, but his progress is blocked by a locked steel gate, marked with the number 452. Curious, he contacts Delilah for more information. She explains that the gate is locked to prevent hikers from wandering into dangerous areas, and the key to open it was reported lost by the Forest Service 3 years ago. Unable to proceed, Henry leaves and continues his journey back to the lookout tower as the storm approaches. As Henry continued on his way, he was startled to see a light flashing at him from a distance. Unsure what was happening, he quickly reported the unusual sighting to Delilah. Concerned that someone might be out there, Henry expressed his worries. Delilah, however, responded with a light-hearted humor, reminding him that being in the wilderness often meant encountering other people, like hikers every now and then. Henry finally returned to the lookout, but was startled to find his typewriter discarded outside. He reported this to Delilah. She urged him to enter the tower immediately. Once inside, Henry discovered his window had been shattered and the inside had been ransacked. He informs Delilah about the situation, explaining that someone had vandalized the place and thrown his typewriter out the window. Delilah assures Henry that she will report the incident to the Forest Service, and she asks him if he had any ideas who might be responsible. Henry suggests that the two teenagers he had confronted at the lake earlier could be involved. Delilah reassures him that she would inform the rangers to be on the lookout for anyone matching their description. She also mentions having a friend in Cody who has access to information about visitors entering and exiting the forest, which could be helpful later on. Delilah tries to comfort Henry, stressing that his safety was her top priority. Although shaken, Henry reassures her that he was okay, marking the end of a tense first day. It is now day 2, and Henry is enjoying a quiet moment with a cup of coffee when Delilah contacts him with some concerning news. The storm from the previous night has knocked out all communication lines, leaving them isolated from the Forest Service. Henry asks about a backup communication system, but Delilah explained that reaching it would require a difficult 2-day hike. To address the situation, Delilah is instructing all lookouts to inspect their designated area and to assess the damages. She directs Henry to return to Thunder Canyon and follow the trail north to locate the communication lines. If he discovers any issues, Henry is to report it back to Delilah so she can arrange for repairs. As Henry journeyed towards Thunder Canyon, he engaged in a light-hearted conversation with Delilah, exchanging small talk about his life and what he was doing in Boulder before taking this job. Their chat flowed easily and casual, reflecting a growing rapport. However, in the middle of the conversation, Delilah suddenly asked Henry to hold on.
Hey, can you hold on a sec?
Sure. Just gonna keep hiking and hoping it warms up.
Heyo. I don't think so. Why, have you? Oh, I don't think he has any idea. I'm absolutely sure. Would you? All right, I'll let you know if anything changes in that regard. Hey, sorry about that. Anyway, if there's anyone or anything you want to talk about, fire away.
Who was that?
Who is who?
I don't think he has any idea. What was that? Were you talking about me?
What?
You left your button pressed or something.
Henry, that call was work. I was just talking to... Actually, it's not really your business. Why are you freaking out?
I'm not freaking out.
Good. I'm gonna go quiet for a little bit. Call me if it's important.
With Delilah stepping away for a bit, Henry makes his way through Thunder Canyon and heads north, ultimately reaching the communication lines. Throughout his journey, he discovers empty beer cans, which heightens his and Delilah's suspicion that the two teens he encountered at the lake may be responsible. At the end of the wire, Henry finds clear evidence that the line has been deliberately cut. Delilah is shaken, recognizing that the lack of communication poses a significant risk. Driven by frustration, she urges Henry to find the teens, scare them, and send them back home. Henry agrees and starts tracing a possible route they might have taken, suspecting they could have returned towards the lake. As Henry walked along the path, he notices an old abandoned backpack hanging from a tree, appearing untouched for a long time. He reports his discovery to Delilah, who casually suggests that he checks it for anything useful. With some care, Henry manages to retrieve the backpack and saw the name Brian Goodwin was stitched on it. Inside, he found some much needed rope and a disposable cardboard camera. The letter responds playfully with a Meadow, prompting Henry to express his gratitude out loud.
Thank you, Brian Goodwin.
Wait, who?
The bag had the name Brian Goodwin sewn into the top.
Huh. Wow.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I just haven't heard that name in a few years.
Was he a ranger or something?
Oh, no. He was stationed in Two Forks, your lookout, with his dad Ned 3 summers ago. Great kid.
You can bring children out here?
No. You know, I'm not a stickler for rules. They took off halfway through the summer.
Why? Where did they go?
I don't know. I never really hit it off with old Ned, and, one day they were just gone. Sucks. Anyway, so it goes. Have, fun with that camera. Try not to snap anything that would scar a Photodome employee.
I don't know. I got a lot of hiking to do. Might get bored.
Well, I'm bored as rocks, so I'll keep you company while you find those girls, huh?
Henry continued down the path when Delilah called out to him once more.
Hey, sorry about snapping at you earlier. I thought about it, and yeah, I suppose that must have sounded kind of weird when you heard me take that other call. Plus, you're just out here in your own head. Trust me, I know how it is. So, did you break any hearts back in Colorado when you took this job? Bit of an outlier.
I'm actually married.
But you're here.
She's sick, and I shouldn't be here, but I am.
I'm sorry, Henry. What is it?
We'll get into it.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, you are here, and it's beautiful, and escaping isn't always something bad.
Yeah, sure.
Look, I gotta go do a thing, but I'll have a radio. Okay, call me if you need to.
Henry stumbles upon a mysterious fence in the middle of the forest. He reaches out to Delilah to see if she had any information on it. Delilah found it strange to see a fence in such a remote area, and speculate it might be related to biologists trying to restrict hikers' access. She promised to investigate further once the communication lines were operational again. Henry walks away from the fence and continues down the path towards the lake. Delilah reaches out once more, this time bringing up Henry's wife.
What does she have?
She's got Alzheimer's. Like, dementia.
Whoa. How old was she?
Is she? She's alive. She's with her family in Melbourne, Australia. She's 43.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What was it like when you guys found out?
Devastating, especially for her. You can understand.
And for you?
Anyway, everything she worked for was taken away, and that was it. Yeah. I'm sorry to be such a downer.
Don't even. I'm happy to listen. And, we'll try to have some fun this summer. I promise.
Henry reaches an open canyon and notices a thick column of smoke rising in the distance. He quickly reports this to Delilah, who confirms that she could see the smoke as well. They speculate that it could be the location of the teens' new campsite. Delilah instructs Henry to investigate further. With that in mind, Henry makes his way towards 5 Mile Creek, which brings him closer to the source of the smoke. On his way to 5 Mile Creek, Henry discovers another supply box. Inside, he finds a missing person flyer. He reaches out to Delilah to ask how often hikers go missing. Delilah reassures him that it's very rare and questions why he even brought it up. Henry then mentions the Goodwins, recalling what Delilah had told him earlier about how she had been communicating with them one day, and the next thing she knew, they were gone. He was wondering if they might have gone missing. Delilah corrects him by explaining that the Goodwins weren't actually missing. She clarifies that Ned had been in the army, but left after his mother, who was also Brian's grandmother, passed away. Ned took Brian with him when he decided to take the job, but eventually realized it was a poor decision and mysteriously decided to leave. During their time at the tower, Delilah ended up connected more with Brian than she did with Ned. Henry continues his search and discovers a waterfall, believing that the teens' camp may be nearby. During his journey, he finds a piece of torn fabric hanging from a tree and reports it back to Delilah, who reacts with suspicion. When he finally reaches the teens' new campsite, Henry contacts Delilah again, and she warns him to stay hidden. As he explores the camp, he uncovers evidence such as beers, teenage magazines, and even the missing sheets from his lookout. This leads him to believe that they were responsible for breaking into his lookout the night before. Henry discovers the campsite has been completely destroyed and reports back to Delilah. He explains that the damages seem to have been caused by something or someone. He also connects this incident to the fabric he found near the waterfall. Following Delilah's request, he uses the camera he found to take photos of the scene. During his investigation, Henry finds torn clothing and a note from the girls accusing him of attacking them and stating that they plan to call the police once they return to town. Delilah questions Henry about his involvement in the attack, but he firmly denies it, expressing frustration at the accusation. He insists that someone or something else must have been responsible. Delilah reminds him that her instructions were to only to scare the teens, not to harm them. However, Henry maintains his innocence, clarifying that the only thing he has done was take their alcohol back at the lake. Henry found the situation very strange and insists that he wasn't to blame. Delilah assured him that she believed him and suggested it could have been other campers, or that the teens might have been under the influence of drugs. However, they truly didn't understand what had happened. The teens were gone, and there was no way to call the police. They weren't coming back. With that resolved, Delilah suggests they get back to work and wrap up Henry's second day on the job. We now flash forward to day 9, and we find Henry enjoying a peaceful moment, eating a sandwich while watching the sunset, when Delilah radios him with disturbing news. 2 young women have gone missing, and their parents in California haven't heard from them in a week. The women had planned to meet their aunt and Cody. Delilah wonders if these are the same girls from the previous week, which would mean that Henry was the last person to see them. Henry informs Delilah that he's willing to answer any questions and has nothing to hide. However, Delilah appears hesitant to get involved, expressing that she wouldn't want to cause any trouble unless the girls were found dead. She conveys her inner conflict, but ultimately decides to report it, while keeping their involvement vague since she feels uncomfortable speaking with the police. It is now day 15. Henry is suddenly awakened in the middle of the night when Delilah calls for him over the radio. Upon picking it up, he is surprised to find Julia on the other end of the line. Julia asks how he's been, noting that Delilah seems nice. Henry reassures her that everything is fine and that he's enjoying the beautiful surroundings, and that Delilah is great. After the conversation ends, Henry relaxes and falls back to sleep. Now we find Henry on day 33, making his way up north to retrieve a supply drop for his tower. As he's traveling north, Delilah radios in to let him know that about 2 weeks ago, in the middle of the night, she heard him talking on the radio. It sounded like he was having a nice conversation with Julia, and that she didn't want to wake him up.
I hope you're doing okay, when it comes to her.
I shouldn't be out here.
Yes, you should.
No, I just ran away from my problems.
No, you didn't. We all fuck up. Look, so a couple of months before I took this job, I was with this guy, Javier. He's incredible, caring, sexy as hell. He was a driller down in Casper. We dated for almost 5 years. I was working with the Wyoming Outdoor Leadership School, and I was obsessed with it. I wanted to be an instructor so badly. And I was sure I was going to marry Javier as soon as I could be bothered. Walls was also a good excuse to get out of town, drink whiskey in the mountains, cut loose. Then, Javier's brother got killed working in Gillette, and for some reason, I didn't come home. Javier said it was fine. He'd go to the funeral, take care of his mom, stuff like that. It'd be easier solo. When he came back, he left me. I came out here, I lied, and told my sister he fucked our neighbor. So, I lied to you. I came out here with a broken heart just like you. I figured you've told me so much about you, so, there's something about me. We both fucked up.
On a late night of day 64, Henry sat outside his tower, engaging in a conversation with Delilah, as they both watched a distant fire burn. Delilah expressed her thoughts about reporting the fire, but noted that they would likely be dealing with it for the remainder of the summer, as the fire crew worked to control it. In the light of the situation, she suggested that they give the fire a name. After some thought, Henry suggests the name the Flapjack Fire. Delilah agrees, and they settle on the name together. Delilah shared a story about her sister and expressed how happy she was that Henry was there with her. She conveyed a sense of longing when she mentioned that she wished she could physically join him to enjoy the beautiful view of the fire. Henry agreed, reflecting their shared appreciation for the moment. On the early morning of day 76, Henry is making his way to the lake in hopes of catching a fish, after feeling frustrated with his repetitive meals. Delilah asks Henry while he's near the lake if he could also keep an eye out for fresh bear tracks, Has there been reports of bears in the area due to the fire? Henry agrees and heads towards the lake. Henry reaches the lake, only to stumble upon a clipboard that looks to have been left out in the open. Curious, he reads through it and discovers that it contains records of all the conversations that he and Delilah have been having throughout the summer. This news shocked both him and Delilah. Just then, Henry hears an unfamiliar noise off in the distance and decides to investigate it. He soon comes across a walkie-talkie that looks to have been dropped, and Delilah urges him to pick it up.
Henry? Are you there? What happened, Henry?
Holy hell, I got hit in the head. Punched or something by someone.
Are you serious? What the hell is going on out there?
I don't know. Jesus Christ.
Let me get this straight. You found a clipboard with, what, transcripts of our conversations? What else is on it?
I don't know. It's gone, along with the radio of theirs. Somebody out here could have just killed me, Delilah.
What the fuck is going on?
What's Wapiti Station?
I don't know.
I saw the name Wapiti Station right before I was cold-cocked. Does Wapiti Station mean anything to you?
Wapiti Meadow. Maybe it's Wapiti Meadow. It's on our maps. It's not too far from where you are right now. It's where you saw that damn fence. It's north of the lake. It looks like there should be a trail somewhere on the north shore of Jonesy Lake.
I'll start hiking that way now.
Henry travels to Wapiti Meadow, arriving at the fence, only to discover that the gate was locked and there was no way for him to open it. He reaches out to Delilah, who suggests that the crew working on the control burn for the flapjack fire might be able to help him. She advises him to go to a scout camp located beyond the Ruby River to see if the crew could help with the locked gate. Henry chooses to follow her suggestion and sets off to the scout camp, hoping that the crew could have a solution. As Henry makes his way to the scout camp, Delilah updates him that she's reached out to all other lookout towers to see if they notice anything unusual this summer, but everyone has confirmed that everything has been normal. Henry believes that the unusual events that they have been experienced should be either reported to the police or the Forest Service. However, Delilah is hesitant. She feels that contacting the authorities could make them appear irrational and doesn't think it's the right course of action. Henry urges her to tell someone, but she's hesitant. She fears that without evidence, no one will believe them. She's also concerned that revealing the situation might alarm her boss and also put her job at risk. While Henry understands her worries, he suggests that someone might be monitoring them using radio frequency. This thought makes Delilah feel unease, and she urges Henry to avoid thinking about it, insisting that he stays focused on reaching the camp. Henry agrees and continues his journey to the scout camp. Henry arrives at the camp, only to find that the scout team has already left. While exploring the area, he discovers an axe and a memo that the team had left behind. The memo reveals that the Wapiti Station is a research facility and expressed concerns raised by someone named Dr. Simmons regarding the potential impact of the wildfires on the station. Both Henry and Delilah speculate about the nature of the research. Henry theorized that it might be involved in the studying of them since they are strangers who communicate daily. Armed with an axe, Henry approaches the locked gate of the Wapiti Station, hoping to use it to break in.
Are you there? I had a thought.
Let's hear it.
You heard someone in the bushes.
Yeah?
Okay, so let's assume we're being tailed. Or you are, at least. Where are you right now?
Just on my way back, in and out of trees in the middle of nowhere.
Do you see anybody?
No, definitely not.
All right, so tell me what you think of this. Did you just cough?
No. Did you just cough?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck.
There isn't any way someone, like another lookout, could be on this line, is there?
No. Not without tapping our radios.
Well, what about when I heard you talking to someone else?
I just left your line open. That's not what this is. Get in your tower. Shut the door. Don't leave and don't use your radio. I'll call you. Understand? I will call you.
The next day, Henry is in his lookout tower trying to reach Delilah. When she finally answers, she explained that she has been away for some time. Frustrated and grown impatient, Henry insists that she makes arrangements for his immediate departure. Delilah insists that they need to have a conversation before proceeding. She asks Henry if he has an informational poster titled Flora of the Shoshone somewhere in his tower. Leaving him confused, Delilah explained that it's standard protocol for such posters to be displayed in a tower, and suggests that he checks it out. Henry confirms he does have the poster in his tower, and Delilah hints at a specific tree depicted on the poster, encouraging him to take a nice hike towards it. Understanding her guidance, Henry begins his journey to the designated spot. Once he arrives, he radios Delilah to inform her that he found another supply box near the tree. She gives him the code. Inside the box, Henry discovers a new walkie-talkie.
I've got it now.
Good. I spent all day getting you that radio. I hiked to a cash box, lied to a ranger, lied to another ranger, and hopefully you are now holding a clean, untapped radio.
Hopefully.
Holy fuck, Henry, we have to get into that site.
What the fuck is going on? People are listening to us?
I don't know.
Our radios are tapped? Are you fucking serious?
Our radios are definitely tapped. That's why I left you the one you just got.
How is this even possible?
I don't know, Henry.
What do you know?
I know that I'm scared.
Are there any other lookouts this is happening to? Someone else in on this? Anyone?
This is just happening to us. Everyone else is fine.
Are you sure?
Yes. I've tried to bring it up to Chimney Rock, Elks Fork, and Beartooth Lookout, and every one of them got confused. Asked me if I'm okay and if I need to be relieved. Our fucking state coordinator asked if I was just having lady troubles. So no, this isn't happening to anyone else, and I'm done asking.
Who is doing this?
I don't know who could be doing this. Henry, I've been at this job off and on for 13 years. Sometimes here, sometimes over near Jackson, a couple times down in Wind River. And nothing like this has ever happened before.
Look, I'm headed back to the gate, and now that I've got an axe, we'll know something soon.
You need to get into that site. Call me when you find something.
As Henry was returning to the station, he received an unsettling update from Delilah about the missing teens from the previous week. Delilah admitted when she filed the report, she stated neither she nor Henry had interacted with the teens. When Henry questions her on the reasoning for this, Delilah explained that she did so to avoid any unnecessary complications. She expressed increasingly concern that with someone watching them and recording their conversations, this could reveal the false statement she had made to the police. Delilah emphasizes the urgency of uncovering the truth, as the teens were still missing and her dishonesty could hinder the investigation. Henry finally arrives at the locked gate and smashes it open, determined to uncover the truth. Once inside, he explores the station and discovers a towering 20-foot transmission tower, which he suspects was central to the surveillance operations. As he continues his search, Henry stumbles upon a campsite filled with the most sophisticated equipment he's ever seen. In the main tent, he confirms to Delilah that this was indeed a monitor station. Among the various items, he discovers a wave receiver designed to track anything that emits a signal, an unsettling confirmation of their fears. While examining the wave receiver, it unexpectedly picks up a nearby signal. Following its lead, Henry traces the source to a monitoring deck, where he finds clipboards, maps, and notes documenting his and Delilah's movements and conversations.
Are you shitting me?
What is it?
There's a folder of reports here.
What do they say?
They're assessments about the two of us. There's stuff in here about Julia.
Like what?
Stuff I didn't tell you. This is...
What does it say about me? You said there was one about me.
And it looks like they've been following me around. What I do when I'm out hiking? Jesus.
Henry, do you hear me?
It says that you and your boyfriend are still together.
What? We're not. They're messing with us.
Yeah, okay.
They are. How do they even know who he is? How the hell does this... I'm so sick of letting these people do this to us. We should just burn the place down.
Delilah,
What? Think about it.
I am, and I think it's insane.
They'd be fucked.
Yeah, and how about if that fire comes up the mountain, or someone were to die in it?
We call it in?
We call it in?
Yeah. Maybe.
My God, Delilah, no. No way.
Well, maybe it's not the best idea.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best idea.
So fucking wound up.
It's all right. I'm just gonna hike back. We have the wave receiver, and tomorrow we can figure out what to do.
Henry makes his way back to his tower.
Whoa! Oh, shit! Delilah, there's smoke coming from the site. I just climbed out of there and the bridge collapsed.
What the hell happened to you? It's definitely not the best idea.
It wasn't me.
What do we do?
We just call it in like any other fire.
And what about who started it? What about them?
The person who started it?
Yeah.
We're talking about people watching us out here who are now burning the forest and everything in it around us. I don't know what to do about that.
Except get the hell out.
Yes, get us the hell out of here.
I will.
Later that night, Henry is back at the lookout when the receiver suddenly picks up a signal. Determined to find its source, he sets out and discovers a backpack containing the key to 452. Henry reports the discovery back to Delilah. They both begin to ponder who could have taken the keys. Delilah feels now that they have the keys and the new radio, this gives them the upper hand on whoever is watching them. But Henry disagrees, feeling unease standing alone in the middle of the dark woods. Delilah suggests that he should have himself a drink now that he's back at the lookout. However, Henry clarifies that he's currently still in the middle of the woods. Confused by this, Delilah insists that she's currently looking at someone standing in his lookout tower as they speak.
I don't see anyone up here.
He was just there.
Left a cassette player taped to my damn door.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, let's see what's on it. It's a tape of us talking down at the site. It sounds like it was recorded from somewhere nearby.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and it sounds like we were the ones who burned it down and that it was your idea.
No.
We are screwed.
No!
Dee, just don't freak out, okay? Don't freak out.
Oh my God, what the fuck is happening, Henry?
The next morning, we find Henry listening to the tape from the previous night on repeat when he is interrupted by Delilah. She informs of a troubling discovery. Someone claiming to be Henry has been contacting the other lookout towers, stating that Delilah knew the cause of the Wapiti Meadow fires. Alarmed by this, Delilah urges Henry to investigate K452, as she believes it may contain critical evidence. Determined by this, Henry heads towards the cave. Upon reaching the cave, he unlocks the gate and steps inside, only to be trapped when suddenly someone slams the door shut behind him. His attempt to radio Delilah fails due to the poor reception. With no other options, Henry starts to explore the cave in search of an exit. As he navigates deeper through the dark, narrow passages, he manages to squeeze through a small crack in the rock. His journey takes him to a vast cavern, where he finds a lone shoe lying mysteriously on the ground. Although confused by its presence, Henry continues onward, determined to find a way out. After successfully escaping the cave, Henry informs Delilah that someone attempted to trap him inside. Once outside, he explains that while he hadn't discovered anything significant, he did see potential of further exploration within the cave, if he had the proper equipment. Determined to investigate further, Henry chooses to head back to his lookout and search for an anchor or appropriate gear. On his way back, Henry stumbles upon a hidden fort. As he examines it more closely, he speculates that it might have belonged to Brian Goodwin. While shifting through the abandoned items, Henry ponders why so many of Brian's stuff was left behind. Delilah suggests that Brian and his father may have left quickly because Brian wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. Delilah recalls a time when Brian would stand out on the lookout railing, waving at planes that were dropping water on fires. This playful moment highlighted his spirited nature. When someone claimed to have seen a child at Two Forks, Delilah denied it, lying to protect Brian. She was afraid that disclosing his presence would force him to return to an uncertain future with his father, something she felt compelled to protect him from. Meanwhile, Henry searched through Brian's belongings and found the equipment that he would need to explore the cave more thoroughly. Among the items, he also discovers a note written by Brian to a ranger. In this note, Brian explains that he had taken his father's climbing gear and hid it in a supply box. He hoped that the ranger would find it eventually and send it back to his home in Nebraska. Henry believed that Brian acted this way because he disliked climbing and that he felt pressure from his father, who was encouraging him to constantly climb. To avoid climbing, Brian had the idea that he would pretend to lose his anchors, thinking that this was the easiest way to put an end to it. Henry discovers a ham radio schematic, which leads Delilah to speculate that Ned may have been teaching Brian about radio communication. Now that Henry has what he needs to explore deeper within the cave, he begins his journey back to investigate further. During this time, Henry and Delilah discuss the potential mysteries that may lie deeper within the cave. Delilah also uses time to inform Henry that the two missing teens have been finally found. It turns out that they have taken a farmer's tractor for a joyride and have been sitting in the jail cell ever since. Upon reaching K452, Henry begins his descent into the dark depths.
Ah, shit. Are you... Oh, God. You're Brian Goodwin. You fell. Your stuff gave out. Oh, you poor fucking kid.
Disturbed by this discovery, Henry cautiously exits the cave and informs Delilah about what he has just found.
Hey, D.
There you are. I've been worrying my ass off.
Hey, you, might want to take a seat.
I've been sitting this entire time. I'm almost always sitting. What's wrong?
The only thing in the cave was a body.
A body? God, what a mess.
Delilah. It's Brian Goodwin.
Gotta be fucking kidding me. How does that... What? I don't... How?
Climbing, I think, or made to look like a climbing accident.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just what it was. I mean, he was probably exploring the cave and maybe his rope gave out. But whoever locked me in there probably didn't even know about him. I'm sorry, Delilah. I'm so sorry.
He'd be alive if I had told someone he was out here. I don't know where he'd be, but I can assure you it would not be rotting at the bottom of that cave. There's nothing to say. Hike back. I think we're leaving tomorrow anyway.
We now find Henry packing up his belongings, preparing for his departure. Today is a long-waited day where him and Delilah finally get to leave.
You see that plane?
No, I was just busy packing up.
Well, there's gonna be a lot more. The service says this thing is 2% contained.
Well, is this the flapjack fire or the site fire or...
Well, the two fires merged into one unmitigated disaster. They're renaming it after my lookout. You about packed up?
Shouldn't we talk for a sec, about things?
About what?
About what happened to Brian.
I don't have much to say. I'm fine. I'm sad. I'm whatever. I keep thinking about him down there, and I just want to get far away from here.
What can I do?
We just have to wait for the helicopters.
Okay.
Until then, could you follow that signal? Maybe?
Holy crap. Yeah, oh my god.
We don't know what it is. It could be nothing.
Yeah, it could also be whoever was listening to us, whoever made the tape.
Okay. Yeah, look, you should pack up everything you need in case we get the call and you can't come back.
All right, look, if something happens...
I'll remember you.
I was hoping you'd have a backup plan or something.
Yeah, okay, I'm probably gonna move to Canada. Ontario, maybe.
No, I meant if something happens to me.
Right, if you don't find out who made the tape and I have to hit the road.
Forget it.
Be safe, Henry.
Henry sets out to locate the source of the signal. Delilah lets him know that the pickup location will be back at her lookout, and she promises to let him know when it's time to head over. Henry arrives at the signal and finds another cassette tape along with his name written on the wall. He also notices a rope leading up to a summit. He informs Delilah what he discovered and proceeds to listen to the tape.
Yeah, hi, Henry. Hey, you better find this before it burns up. We've been causing each other a lot of headaches. Now I gotta go stake out a site that's as fit for living as the one you're about to find. You'll get it when you see it. You can't blame me for keeping an eye on you. Not after bumping into you back in May. Down by the cave, for croc's sake. I've been up here for 3 years. I kept it cozy. Winters are harsh as hell, and I ran out of books. But I got that antenna rigged up, and Delilah, she's a record you don't gotta flip. I kinda get why Brian took to her. About a week ago, I stopped worrying about you finding anything out, and that's right when everything went shithouse with you two. You guys don't know anything about having kids. All right, nobody knows nothing. It ain't Andy and Opie walking down the lake to fish every afternoon. It ain't Mayberry. But you gotta know I didn't kill him. All right, we were climbing. I was teaching him. Brian was uneducated in the way to do anything. He just fucking didn't sink his anchor the right way. I thought about going back, having to answer questions, and having to get him put in the ground, and I didn't see the point. Don't come looking for me. Sorry about your wife.
We found the surveillance operation.
Okay, what does that mean? What is it?
It was Ned Goodwin. He was the one listening to us, just him.
Ned Goodwin. He made the tape?
Yeah. He's gone. He's deeper into the Shoshone. He doesn't want anyone to know he's out here.
Because he killed Brian. Because he killed his fucking son. You need to get back here. They say the helicopters are making rounds.
Okay.
Henry chooses to follow the rope that Ned had left for him. Once he reaches the summit, he discovers Ned's hideout. Inside, Henry finds more of Brian's belongings, along with the log where Ned had documented everything he had done to both Henry and Delilah. While searching through more of Ned's hideout, Henry also discovers radio logs that reveal that Ned has secretly been eavesdropping on their conversations while monitoring them from their lookout locations. After processing all this information, Henry decides to leave the hideout and head to the evacuation site.
I know I should be relieved. Relieved that there's no evidence of us starting that fire. Relieved that we're not crazy. That there wasn't some conspiracy. But I'm not. He was a sweet kid. With a shitty father who hid out here like a coward after dumping him in a hole.
Lila, I think it was an accident. And I don't think Ned meant to kill him.
We don't know what happened for sure.
Ned wanted his son to be able to climb and do the sorts of things he did himself, but Brian couldn't.
And how'd that turn out, Henry? Sorry. God, it would have been so easy to tell the truth and have him sent home. I can't stop thinking about it.
You didn't do anything wrong.
Yes, I did. And now I've got to decide whether I tell people that he's down there so they can retrieve the body or not. And if I do, I'm going to be asked about Ned Goodwin.
Dee?
Oh, fuck.
Is that a helicopter?
Yeah, hold on. Hey! No, there's one more. Yes, here, yeah. Yeah, he's coming. Okay, 1 second. Hey, they're here, but they're making rounds. They'll come back. I think I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah?
I mean, it's dangerous here, and if anything were to happen, then that would be on me, so.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you sure that's okay?
I said it was.
All right, I should go.
Have a safe flight.
All right, have a safe hike.
Henry finally reaches Delilah's lookout tower. Upon entering, he took in the familiar surroundings, which were surprisingly similar to his own tower. Once inside, he locates Delilah's radio headset.
Hello? Is anybody there?
Hi. Yeah, it's me. I'm back at the staging area near the trailhead. I think I see your truck.
Red? Colorado plates?
Yeah. It's a piece of shit.
Well, yeah.
I think there might be a raccoon living in it.
Probably the one who attacked my face.
Hey, it shouldn't take long for the helicopter to reach you.
Okay.
There's a debrief in a situation like this. Lots of questions.
Shit. So, taking stock, we found out an old lookout killed his only son and decided to become a lonely hermit.
Yes.
And we prevented one fire?
Basically started another.
Okay, so that's a wash.
Oh, I'll have to figure out what I'm doing every summer from now on that isn't this.
You're not coming back?
No. And you'll have to... I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know what's next.
Tell you what, why don't you choose for me and I'll choose for you?
All right, sure. Maybe move to Santa Fe. Open a jade emporium with your sister.
I'd be trading cute ski bums for yoga retreat hippies, but maybe that's not all bad.
Plus the margarita situation.
I mean, yeah.
So what about me?
I think you should go to Julia, and then you can figure it out. Maybe put that typewriter to good use. Give me a sexy accent or something if you write about this.
Yeah.
You gotta go see her.
Yeah, sure.
Henry, Look, you came out to put your memories behind you, and they're still right there in front of you.
You're right. I mean, I think you're right.
Good.
When I get back, maybe I could,
We shouldn't focus on this summer. Next year we'll roll around, and then the year after that, and then it's just, I don't know. My Aunt Judy called it a pause in the hallway of time.
Did your Aunt Judy smoke a lot of pot?
Yeah?
Well, you should try to take her advice, too.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's the helicopter.
They'll land back where you hiked up. Good luck, Henry.
You too. Good luck.
No. Henry, you keep it for yourself, okay? Bye, Hank.
Henry makes his way onto the helicopter, bringing that one game story to a close.